Salut! It's Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France, and today I am going to teach you how to speak in the past in French, and you're going to see that this is so easy. I'm going to explain it to you, and by the end of this lesson, you're going to know how to speak in the past using regular verbs. You're going to know how to do it even with negation. And you might be sitting there saying, oh, Jennifer, okay, I'll watch. We'll see what happens, but it's hard enough for me to speak in the present tense. Hey, I'll tell you what, speaking in the present is a lot harder than speaking in the passé composé. That's right. I promise you'll see what I mean, because when I talk about regular verbs, I'm talking about verbs that end in ER, like parler, IR, like finir, and RE, like répondre. And you remember having to learn all of those present tense conjugations and how they're all different and they all have different endings? Guess what? You only have to learn one conjugation to speak in the past in French, and I'll bet you anything you already know it. So the title of this lesson is the French passé composé of regular verbs with avoir. With avoir. Do you know how to conjugate avoir? Does that ring a bell? Well, if you don't, then you need to learn how to, because that's what this lesson is all about, pretty much. Well, there's some other things. But listen, before I show you how to use the passé composé, because that's the easy part, I want you to know when to use the passé composé. Oh, great, Jennifer, I'm going to learn how to speak in the past. You're going to learn how to speak a very dry past tense when I'm showing you how to use the passé composé, because the passé composé is not used for description. The passé composé is very cut and dry. It's something that happened. It happened. I'm not describing what happened. It's just something that happened. So I'll show you some examples of that. But remember, do not use the passé composé to describe something in the past. So I always like to start out with some examples in English. Now listen, this is super boring. I woke up at 7 this morning. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face. I made some coffee. I ate breakfast. I got dressed. I left the house, and I took the bus. So you're telling someone about your morning, and that sounds like, wow, you have a really strict schedule. But what you're not telling them is, oh, I was tired this morning. The bathroom was occupied. There wasn't any shampoo. My coffee was so good. It tasted really good. It was raining outside. I was really hurrying to catch my bus, and I was super stressed. Now that's more interesting. But that is not the passé composé. That's not what we're here for today. We're talking about the facts. What happened, okay? So let me show you how to form the passé composé. Now that you know when to use it, let me show you how to form it. I promised you only have to know one conjugation. All right? Let's start out with ER verbs. So the one conjugation is the one that you see right there in the middle. That's your verb avoir, which means to have, right? J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, on a. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. That's what you learn in the very beginning when you start learning French, right? So all you have to do to take a verb like manger, now this is a regular ER verb, you have to form its past participle. And I know that's all grammar talk and everything, but when I say past participle, you don't have to call it that. You can call it the past tense form or the past of manger or whatever you want to call it. But all you have to do is take the ER off, and then do you remember what it looked like? You just have to take the ER off of your infinitive, the full form of the verb, and put an E with an accent mark on it, okay? So now, instead of saying je mange, I'm eating, or I eat, I say j'ai mangé, and all of a sudden it means I ate, or I have eaten. Let me tell you something about that. The difference in English between I ate and I have eaten, there's a clear difference in English. I know that. And that's hard for French people to learn, because guess what? I ate and I have eaten. It's the same in French. You just say j'ai mangé. It's the passé composé. So it just depends on context whether what you really mean is I ate or I have eaten. And believe me, it all comes out in the wash. People know what you're talking about in context, and eventually you'll know what they're talking about too. Let me just show you the rest of these for manger. So again, j'ai mangé, tu as mangé, il a mangé, he ate, elle a mangé, she ate, on a mangé, we ate. Nous avons mangé, we ate. Okay, so I just translated two things the exact same way. On a mangé is very familiar, and it means we ate. That's how people speak. Nous avons mangé also means we ate, and you might say, Jennifer, it's easier for me to use nous avons because that's what I've been doing from the beginning. Keep on using it. That doesn't matter. Everybody understands nous avons mangé. What I want you to understand is on a mangé because that's how people are going to speak to you, most likely. All right? So even though on is conjugated like il and elle, it still takes the singular form of the verb avoir for the helping verb. It still means we ate. All right. Back to this. Nous avons mangé, vous avez mangé, you ate, ils ont mangé, and elles ont mangé. So guess what? All regular ER verbs work the same way. So here I've just put a few of them up so that you can see what I'm talking about. J'ai parlé, tu as accepté, il a commencé, elle a voyagé, on a travaillé, nous avons donné, vous avez commandé, ils ont fermé, elles ont gagné. D'accord? So you see what I mean? How it's easier than the present tense? You just have to know how to conjugate avoir. D'accord? I mean, super, super easy. I know it might not be as easy right now, but with a little practice, you'll see that it is easy. Now look at this. Accepter. What if I asked you to use the verb accepter with the subject je and put it into the past tense to mean I accepted? How would you say that? If you said j'ai accepté, you are correct. And what about the verb aimer with the subject vous? Vous avez aimé. Now, what does it mean? I didn't show you what it means on that card. It means you loved. D'accord? All right, so now we are going to move on to IR verbs. And, you know, it's really important for you to learn as many regular ER, IR, and RE verbs as you can, since they all work the same way. And I have put together a mini course. You can look down in the video description for the link to it. And these little cards that I'm showing you are part of the mini course. There are 75 of them and 4 quizzes you can take and a study guide and everything. Really encourage you to do that because the more verbs you know and the more practice you get, the sooner you're going to master the passé composé and be able to say a whole lot more things. So let's look at IR verbs. I've taken the verb choisir as an example. Now choisir, C-H-O-I-S-I-R, in the infinitive means to choose, to choose. And in the passé composé, or the past participle, or the past tense form, whatever you call it, you just take the R off, okay? So in order to say, I chose, or I have chosen, j'ai choisi, tu as choisi, il a choisi, elle a choisi, on a choisi. You see how the CH sounds like a schwa with that OI after it? Schwa, choisi. Nous avons choisi, vous avez choisi, ils ont choisi, elles ont choisi. D'accord? And again, there are lots. The biggest group of verbs are the ER verbs. The second biggest group of regular verbs are the IR verbs. So let me just give you a little list here. Whoops, that's not the right list, sorry. IR verbs, here we go. So, finir. J'ai fini. See, that's easy. That's just like j'ai mangé, but the ending is different because this is not an ER verb, it's an IR verb. J'ai fini. Tu as grandi. Il a nourri. Elle a rempli. On a investi. Nous avons envahi. Vous avez réfléchi. Ils ont bâti. Elles ont obéi. And you might be thinking, wow, I didn't know all of those verbs, but yeah, I could learn those. Of course you can learn those. They all work the same way. As soon as you learn these lists of really common, regular verbs, and you know how to do them in the passé composé, you're going to be speaking about the past for everything. You're going to say, oh, forget about the present tense. That's too hard. I'm going to speak in the past about everything because the passé composé is super, super easy. for now, my friends. It does get more complicated, but learn these rules, and later it'll be easier when the rest of it does get complicated. So here are some little cards for you to figure out. This verb accueillir, it looks very strange and it's hard to pronounce, but it means to welcome, and it's a regular IR verb. So she welcomed. Elle a accueilli. Remember, it ends in an I. Elle a accueilli. Or over on the right, using nous with choisir, nous avons choisi. Nous avons choisi. Voilà. Très bien. Okay, now let's get on to these RE verbs. There are fewer of these. So you might say, Jennifer, why did you choose some of these verbs? I'm not really going to use these verbs in my everyday speech. Some of the regular RE verbs are a little twisted. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But there are many of them that you will use. Okay, so you need to know how to do this. We start out with the verb attendre. Okay, so in the infinitive, it ends in an RE. In the past, and its past tense form, it ends in a U. All right, so we talked about a verb like manger, past tense form, manger. Choisir, past tense form, choisi, with an I. Attendre, past tense form, attendu. I mean, that's it, guys. If you can remember those 3 different past tense forms for regular verbs and the verb avoir, then you have nailed it. All right? So, j'ai attendu, tu as attendu, you waited, il a attendu, nous avons attendu, vous avez attendu, ils ont attendu, elles ont attendu. All right? So these, we're not making full sentences here. We're just talking about the subject, the helping verb, and the past tense form. And then you can put whatever else you want on the end of it. They waited in front of the house. Ils ont attendu devant la maison. You can start putting all of your words together. And that's what so many people tell me. They say, oh, Jennifer, I learned these rules, but then when I have to put all of the words together, it gets hard. You take it one step at a time. You've got this. I remember being a beginner in French, and I know that it's hard, but you need to be confident in yourself. And even if it sounds like ils ont attendu devant la maison. Le maison? La maison. You know how you ask yourself those questions? Just say it. If you make a mistake, at least you'll have the ils ont attendu, because that's the passé composé, and that's what you're learning right now. But you can string those words together. Be confident, because believe me, when I was learning French, oh my God, when the phone would ring, I was living in France, I would run to the bathroom and just close it so I wouldn't have to answer it. It was awful. My son was going to school here. I thought maybe it was the teacher. What was I going to do? Speak on the phone in French? But once I started doing it and forcing myself, that's when I got better. And that's when you're going to get better. You need to go out on a limb. You can do it. Believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. All right? Look at this list of RE verbs. This répondre, that's one we'll use a lot. J'ai répondu. Perdre, to lose, we'll use that a lot. Tu as perdu. Entendre, also. Il a entendu. He heard. To give something back is rendre. Like if you're returning a book to the library. Elle a rendu. Vendre is very common. On a vendu. Fondre, maybe a little less common, right? To melt. Nous avons fondu. But, nous avons fondu du chocolat. Something like that, okay? So anyway, it's a regular RE verb, and I needed some. Look, what about défendre? Vous avez défendu. Mordre, to bite. This can be very important. Ils ont mordu. And to twist. That's why I said some of these words are twisted. Tordre. Elles ont tordu. I know you're not going to use that verb very often, but it follows the plan, right? It follows the rule. You can see that. Look at this card over here on the left. Attendre, to wait. Nous avons attendu. Right? Nous avons attendu. Perdre. What did I say that means? To lose. Nous avons perdu. What does that mean? Nous avons perdu. It means we lost, or, given the context, we have lost. It can mean that too. All right, so I'm going to show you now how to use negation. And if you're watching this lesson on the passé composé, I think you've probably already learned how to use ne and pas. Okay? I am eating, je mange. I'm not eating, je ne mange pas. I'm going to show you where you put the ne and the pas in the passé composé. Look at this. So I've got my ne and my pas written there in blue. So let's think of those as little blue pieces of bread, right? Because we're going to make a sandwich. And that helping verb written in red right down the middle, that's what we're putting inside. So it might be some ham, it might be some saucisson, or maybe it's not going to be meat at all. Maybe it's going to be a whole lot of veggies or whatever, however you like your sandwich. That's your helping verb. That's what's going to help your sandwich taste good. All right? So the ne and the pas, that's the bread. So if I want to say, I did not wait, je n'ai pas attendu. Or you did not finish. Remember, it can also mean you have not finished. Tu n'as pas fini. Or il n'a pas parlé. Now, I've done this on purpose. The first verb is attendre. Remember, that's an RE verb, so the ending on the past tense form is you. Finir, it's an IR verb, so the past tense form ends in an I. And parler is a regular ER verb, so the past tense form ends in an E with that accent mark on it, okay? And it's pronounced parler. If there's not an accent on an E, you do not pronounce it. Okay? Nous n'avons pas répondu. We have not answered, or we have not replied, or we did not answer. Vous n'avez pas choisi. You did not choose, or you have not chosen. Ils n'ont pas regardé. Elles n'ont pas regardé. They did not look. They have not watched. Regarder means to look, and it also means to watch. So here's just a reminder that you use the passé composé with actions that really happened. They had a beginning and an end. Oh, what did I write? They had a beginning and end. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to go back and change that right now. You know what I mean. They have a beginning and an end. So pay close attention to your bread, your ne and your pas. All right? So there are different ways to use negation, but it doesn't matter what kind of negation you're going to use. It's still the bread. And your helping verb is what helps your sandwich taste good. It's all about what you put inside the bread, right? So maybe you just know ne pas, but I'm going to show you 2 other ways to use negation here in just a second. But first, let's practice using some of these little cards. And remember, when you sign up for the mini course, you'll get all 75 of these to practice with. And one of the sets looks like the one on the left, so that'll help you learn all of these verbs and what they actually mean in English. And then you'll have another identical set, but without the hints, as like the one you see over on the right. Okay, so accomplir means to accomplish. How would you say, I did not accomplish? Je n'ai pas accompli. Right. Je n'ai pas accompli. Or with the verb trouver, using the subject on and negation, on n'a pas trouvé. On n'a pas trouvé. D'accord? Okay. So now let me show you a different kind of negation. Have you ever seen the word jamais? So jamais means never. And you notice how it goes in the exact same spot as pas. Okay? So if I say je n'ai jamais attendu, right? Je n'ai jamais attendu, instead of meaning I didn't wait, now all of a sudden it means I never waited. Oh, okay. So you can really, with this passé composé, if you just know a few different forms of negation, you can really expand what you're able to say in French and feel confident about it. Tu n'as jamais fini. You never finished. Il n'a jamais parlé. He never spoke or he never talked. Nous n'avons jamais répondu. Oh là là, nous n'avons jamais répondu. We never replied. Vous n'avez jamais choisi. You never chose. Elles n'ont jamais regardé. They never watched or they never looked at. D'accord? Okay, so remember, jamais goes in the same spot as pas. Here are some little cards to practice with. Annuler, did you know what that one meant? That's a regular ER verb. So since you know how all ER verbs work the same way, the regular ones, it means to cancel. So now you know how to say they never canceled. How would you do it? Elles n'ont jamais annulé. Right? Elles n'ont jamais annulé. And how about ralentir? Ralentir. Give me the sentence. Say it for me using elles and ne jamais. Elles n'ont jamais ralenti. Elles n'ont jamais ralenti. Now here's what I run into with a lot of my students when they say a sentence like that. They're learning the passé composé. All right, here's your list of regular verbs. Elles n'ont jamais ralenti. Oh, man, that's a great sentence. That's awesome. What does it mean? Because you need to learn these verbs. You need to know that ralentir. See, it wasn't written on that. That's tricky. That's the set of real challenge cards. Elles n'ont jamais ralenti. You'll find out that ralentir means to slow down. Donc, elles n'ont jamais ralenti means they never slowed down. D'accord? Voilà, learn these verbs, guys. Okay, let me see if I can get us to the right spot. All right, yes, I'm going to show you one more form of negation. Pas encore. So we use a ne, all right? That's to start our negation. That's the top piece of bread. And then pas encore. Now, pas, you know how to use ne pas, but when you use pas encore, all of a sudden it means not yet. So if I just said je n'ai pas attendu, that means I didn't wait. But je n'ai pas encore attendu means I haven't waited yet. And we have to be careful as English speakers because we would say something like tu n'as pas encore, in French we say tu n'as pas encore fini, right? But in English, you have not finished yet. So you see how this can be tricky? That word encore, it can mean a few other things too, but pas encore means not yet. You have not finished yet. So in English, we want to put the word yet on the end, but that's not where it goes in French. You have to keep it right next to the pas, or it's like you've just torn your piece of bread in half and your sandwich is just going to be not as good. It might be edible. Somebody might understand you, in other words, but it's not going to be as good. So pas encore. It sounds good when you say it together, pas encore. You sound very, very French. Okay, so look at these examples. Elle n'a pas encore parlé. She has not yet spoken. Nous n'avons pas encore répondu. We have not yet replied. Vous n'avez pas encore choisi. You have not yet chosen. Or you have not chosen yet. Ils n'ont pas encore regardé. They haven't yet watched. Or they haven't watched it yet. All right? So look, let me just go back up to the pas, the regular pas. Je n'ai pas attendu. I did not wait. Je n'ai jamais attendu. I have never waited. Je n'ai pas encore attendu. I haven't waited yet. Those mean three really different things, right? So what you can come out of this lesson with, I'm going to show you some more examples, all right? But what you can come out of this lesson with is, first of all, this is easier than present tense because I only have to know how to conjugate which verb? Avoir. Second of all, Most verbs in French are regular. There's so many of them. And the more I learn, the more I can say because they all follow the same rules. And thirdly, I know how to use 3 different kinds of negation, which is basically going to triple what I know how to say in French. Did you realize that? After this lesson, you will know how to say so many more things. Look, let me show you these cards. Make sure you know how to use pas encore. Okay, so I have not yet returned an item, some kind of item. Remember, like a book to the library or something. That's the verb rendre. Regular RE verb, so what is your past participle? Rendu. Okay, so your subject is je. You're going to use ne with pas encore. How do you say that? Let's hear it. Je n'ai pas encore rendu. And then you finish your sentence like je n'ai pas encore rendu mon livre à la bibliothèque. Something like that. Now, what is réfléchir? This is a regular IR verb. So you know your past participle, your past tense form ends with which letter? The letter I, okay? Which is pronounced I in French. So do it with nous and ne pas encore. Nous n'avons pas encore réfléchi. Nous n'avons pas encore réfléchi. And what does it mean? Réfléchir means to think or to reflect, to ponder. D'accord? So, what do you think? What kind of present do you think we can get our aunt? Nous n'avons pas encore réfléchi. We haven't yet thought about it. Okay? All right, let me show you these examples, and then we're going to be done. And so let me know if you have any questions. Okay. J'ai attendu mon frère à l'arrêt de bus. Now we're making some full sentences here. J'ai attendu, regular RE verb. I waited for my brother at the bus stop, à l'arrêt de bus. D'accord? Now we want to make it negative. Je n'ai jamais attendu mon frère à l'arrêt de bus. I never waited for my brother at the bus stop. Poor kid. I always made him walk by himself. Je n'ai jamais attendu mon frère à l'arrêt de bus. Think I'm crazy? All right, so remember, blue bread, what's in the middle? Helping verb helps it taste better. All right? Tu as fini ton dîner. You finished your dinner. Simple sentences, guys. You can do this. Tu n'as pas fini ton dîner. Simple negation. You did not finish your dinner or you have not finished your dinner. Il a parlé. Ah, shoot. I made another typo. You guys, pretend like that says il a parlé de ses vacances. D-E, de ses vacances. Il a parlé de ses vacances. Or, il n'a pas encore parlé, D-E, de ses vacances. He has not yet talked about his vacation. All right? Elle a vendu sa voiture. She sold her car. Elle n'a pas vendu sa voiture. She did not sell her car. Okay? So you see how you can put these sentences together and then take all of the other little words that you know and you can add them on and make great sentences. So I am going to show you one more set of examples. But remember, I've got a study guide available for you. I'll show you a glimpse of what it looks like in a minute. And believe me, there won't be any typos on the study guide because I'll go and fix it. But look, let me show you this one last set of examples and then I'll show you how you can get your study guide. Nous avons répondu à la question. So, what does that mean? We answered the question. Nous n'avons jamais répondu à la question. We never answered the question. Or, vous avez choisi vos chaussures. Lots of CHs in there. Vous avez choisi vos chaussures. Have you chosen your shoes? Did you choose your shoes? You can translate that however you want to. Vous n'avez pas encore choisi vos chaussures. You haven't chosen your shoes yet? Ils ont gagné au loto. They won the lottery. Or simple negation, ils n'ont pas gagné au loto. They didn't win the lottery. Or elles ont commencé à travailler. they started to work. Elles n'ont pas encore commencé à travailler. They haven't started working yet. D'accord? So guys, that's it. That's the whole lesson about regular verbs using avoir as a helping verb in the passé composé. So if you want to have that study guide, here's what it looks like. It's 3-pager, all right? And, I have all of the examples and rules mentioned in this lesson on there. This is something you can add to your stack of French learning resources and pull it out anytime. If you're a supporter of mine on Patreon, it's already on Patreon for you. You can go down there and download it for free. And guys, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a way that you can support me. You can find out more about it down in the video description. And you can also sign up for my mini course on the passé composé. And believe me, by the time you get through that mini course, you're going to know the passé composé, and you're going to know at least 75 new verbs. D'accord? All regular ones that you can start using with and without negation. And not just one kind of negation, but 3 kinds. Because in my mini course, I'm going to run you through it over and over again. All right? I hope that this lesson helped you, and please let me know if you have any questions, if you need any clarifications, and I will be back next time with another lesson. Merci beaucoup et à très bientôt. Ciao.